You have a goal, we have a plan. Bodybuilding.com All Access Premium Fitness Plans to achieve your weight loss goal. Jumpstart your results with Shortcut to Shred or 30 Days Out. Get shredded with Chisel or go hardcore with Chris Gethin. Each plan includes daily workouts, training tips, nutrition and supplement guides, and more. Everything you need, all in one place at Bodybuilding.com All Access.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the workout stream. Now, if you're familiar with me from twitch.tv/Bajheera, my channel, you usually know that we train in my little hyperbolic time chamber of gains out in my garage. But today, we're in a different surroundings here at the Bodybuilding.com HQ gym. So we're gonna have a lot of fun here today. But of course, if you guys are not familiar with me, what's up? I'm Jackson Bajheera Bliton. I'm a natural pro bodybuilder, a sponsored Bodybuilding.com athlete, and a YouTube and Twitch content creator focusing around the combination of games and gains, as you may have seen in the intro there. But so today, my plan is, a lot of times in my gym, I'll do a workout somewhat similar to this, but since we have some really fun equipment to use, we're gonna go ahead and get into that. And of course, I've been dieting and competing all year long, so this workout's gonna be one of those workouts where we're gonna get a little bit of blood flow in there, we're gonna have some fun with that. And of course, we're also gonna get, a little bit of a pump in an awesome environment like this. So what I usually do to start my workouts is I usually walk right to the weights, grab a couple, and start hitting some curls, maybe a little bit of dumbbell presses, just to kind of get the pump going and get some blood flow. And this is exactly the kind of thing that you'll see me doing. As soon as I start up my gym streams live on Twitch, I'll be like, yo, how's it going guys? Time to get warmed up. So we're just gonna be hitting some curls and some shoulder stuff. And once again, the idea behind this is to get a little bit of blood flow going, but also it's just kind of fun to start whatever workout you're doing, even if it's leg day, with a little bit of a bicep pump. I'm not against that. So, I mean, one of the main things about me is it's really cool to be able to get up on stage and compete and have that entire experience. And it's amazing to be here and bodybuilding.com training. But kind of what brings me to all this cool stuff is just I love working out. So I'm not against start my workout off with a little bit of bicep curls, a little bit of dumbbell presses, but like I said, it also has the functional purpose of actually getting your system warmed up, especially because today, the plan for me is we're gonna be doing this little warm up briefly. Then we're gonna head back there and we're gonna do some of their hoist machine stuff, which is once again different than what I usually do. At my home gym, I've got a power rack. So usually I'm just working with like barbell, dumbbell. I do have a cable machine now, which is awesome. That's been making it really hard for me to stay out of the gym. We've been doing 2-a-day training, so that's been a lot of fun, but we're gonna go ahead and use some of their machines today, which will be fun for me, doing like a little bit of push-pull style training, which is what I usually do. Usually we'll get ourselves warmed up by doing these kind of things right here, and then usually I'll have like a chest day, focus, and then during that chest day, I'll do mostly chest training stuff, but I'll also, if you'll notice, do a little bit of back stuff just to kind of get my back warmed up, because that sort of full body pump feels good. And I also think it's helpful to have, a bit of a lat pump when you're doing your chest stuff, and you'll see why. Because when you bring the movement down, having a little bit of blood in your lats allows you to really lock in and drive with your chest and your triceps the way you're supposed to. So that's what we're gonna do today. And then we're gonna actually come over here and do some pull-ups where the back will be kind of the main movement, and then also do tricep extensions and push-ups for fun. And then if we have time, because it's gonna be a fast workout, if we have time, we might do a little bit more dumbbell shoulder presses with some shrugs at the end, just to kind of finish things off.
All right, we have tons of Twitch love coming through.
What's up, guys? Good to see you.
Try to make this like a real Twitch stream. We got Ron BD77 saying, "Oh, multi-camera broadcast."
I know, we're stepping it up big time.
And someone thinks that this is pre-recorded, so how do you tell them that they're actually live?
Well, I mean, I would say if it was pre-recorded, would I hit them with the flex? But probably would, honestly, but you're just gonna have to take our word for it, guys, because we are indeed live, having fun. But yeah, we got a different setup than usual. It's not just nerdy old me in my garage. We're in the real deal Bodybuilding.com HQ, and it's pretty cool to be here. We've been having a lot of fun filming some videos, and of course, so we're gonna be doing this workout live, but this is also a workout that we filmed, like some sort of insider info on for you guys yesterday. So be on the lookout on the Bodybuilding.com channels for this workout coming at you guys pretty soon.
So first question from Twitch while you're warming up here.
Let's do it.
What tips do you give anybody who's a beginner?
Yeah, so this workout is actually gonna be perfect for people who are a beginner at the gym. So I am not a beginner in terms of my training. I still have a lot of room to improve, a lot of things to learn, but I've been going at it for a little while now. And what's fun about this workout is, even for me, as a bit more of an experienced lifter, this is still a workout I can do, you know, I can moderate my intensity to make it a really intense, fast-paced workout, or it can be the kind of thing that I'll do maybe if I've been, I don't know, dieting for 6 months, coming up with my last competition, traveling to go visit one of my sponsors and just want to have fun in their gym, you know, hypothetically. That'd be a perfect workout for this too. So, but if you're a beginner, you know, this is the exercise that I'm doing right now, you'll have to moderate those for the amount of weight that you're capable of doing, but in terms of the exercise selection and maybe even time spent, this would be a really good workout for you. So in a lot of gyms, you're gonna be able to find dumbbells. So you can do some bicep curls to get warmed up. You can do these kind of dumbbell presses to warm up your shoulders. But these are also just, you know, great movements to anchor your training with if you wanted to. But here pretty soon when we hop over to those machines, you're gonna be able to find things like this at any gym. And what's fun about machines for beginners is that the movement is pretty well supported for you already, and it's gonna allow you to kind of feel what it's like to flex your muscles against resistance, which is pretty much what bodybuilding comes down to. You know, powerlifting is a little bit different, right? It's really like a technical sport, and your goal is to move as much weight as you can. But with bodybuilding, or with just learning how to exercise, figuring out, okay, so when I'm in this machine, and I'm pushing it forward, you're moving your body and you're moving weight technically, but how are you doing that? By contracting your chest muscle, by contracting your tricep muscle, by bracing your tricep against your lat. And there's a lot of things that go on that you may just have to learn by either watching streams like this or videos on bodybuilding.com, but also by doing. So there's a lot of practical application that needs to happen. And this is one of those workouts that you can learn from. So I'm gonna do maybe one more set, then we're gonna move over there and get started on that stuff, because once we're starting to talk about all this pressing and rowing that we're about to do, next we want to get after it. So let's go ahead and finish up. A few more curls, a few more lateral raises, a few more dumbbell presses, and we'll get to it.
A little more love from Twitch.
Aw,
in terms
thanks,
of the
guys.
camera, they think you need a multi-cam setup in your home gym.
Dude, I mean, hey, one of these days maybe we'll upgrade, but bodybuilding.com definitely knows how to produce content, and I'm very grateful to be here. That's for sure.
Someone on Twitch wants to know, how did it feel to finally go pro?
I mean, realistically, like, I am so proud and grateful to have been selected as the winner in that physique competition. But I mean, and with all the pride and all the happiness, there also, you know, comes the amount of realization that what I've been doing has led me to this position, and pretty much just got to stay on the grind at this point. I mean, like, reaching that milestone, reaching that moment is something that I had dreamed of for a long time, you know. But in terms of what changes for me, now that I'm a pro bodybuilder, not much. I feel like it's been the consistent effort that I put in my training, my diet, my recovery that has led me to sort of this point. And so you take all the excitement, all the pride, all the passion, and you say, fantastic, enjoy that moment. But now that we're a week after the show, it says, time to get back to work. We got our pro debut coming up, so it's time to keep getting after it. And if you guys are ready, want to swap over? Let's do it. I'm gonna waddle all the way over here, start putting my weights on, we'll get this working. And you guys get over there? Cool. So if you guys are just starting off, I encourage you to probably even just hop on the machine and just get a feel for it with no weight. But you know, when I'm in the Bodybuilding.com gym, even just warming up for this, I can't really help myself but go ahead and get started. So I've already a little bit warmed up, and of course doing those shoulders, the presses will help warm up your shoulder, but also this little connective part that goes right into your chest and shoulder. You really want to be mindful of that part right there. It's easy to get hurt that way. So if you're new, that's something that you wouldn't want to do, but hopefully you're already warmed up from getting a little bit of that going. And at this point, just go ahead and hop on, and this is the fun thing about machines, is that if you were having to do an incline press, you would unrack it, and you'd have to sort of balance that all, which is fine. It's a really good thing to do, and I really do encourage people to move into doing free weight stuff just because it feels good and it's fun, and it's really helpful and productive. But as a beginner, or if you're looking for like a little bit of a lighter workout or a way to just kind of, you know, I don't have to worry about managing a lot of weight. I can really just hit this all day long. You can go ahead and do that. When I first started training, I was pretty young, but a lot of my training that I did was focused around just doing machines. So if you guys watched the Q&A sort of podcast we did yesterday on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Bajheera, we had a lot of questions about how I started lifting. And really it started off with pull-ups or push-ups when I was pretty young, and then my dad started taking me to the gym when I was like 12. And my bread and butter when I would go to the gym as a young kid was doing these kind of, you know, bench press machines, doing pull down machines, doing abs, but it was all on machines. And so it really allowed me to kind of learn what it was like to contract my muscles against resistance, to learn what it was like to put resistance, you know, on my body in general. And I feel like that really set me up well for doing the things that I wanted to do later on with my training. So, and just briefly talking about the workout, less about my history of training. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna find myself, say this is my main workout. I wanna mostly focus on my progressive overload and my effort on the push. I still personally like to find a machine or something like a push-up, which we'll be doing later, that allows me to work kind of the opposite muscle group. So obviously we're engaging the pushing muscles with this. We're doing chest, doing triceps, maybe a little bit of front delt involved in an incline press. So it's not the exact opposite, but what I'll do now is while I'm recovering, I'm chatting with you guys a lot right now, but as I'm recovering, I'll hop on a row and get the opposite, right? So here's the press and here's the row. So instead of the chest, it's gonna work my lat muscles, it's gonna work my rear delts, a little bit of bicep as well. And once again, you can hammer this, but a lot of times I'll use this as an opportunity for some active recovery. Keeps the blood flowing, keeps you mentally, physically in your workout, and it's just fun. Because my back can always use a little bit of extra work. And I am a big fan of the Superset stuff, but you do need to be mindful that if you're gonna be doing stuff like this, you don't necessarily need to hammer the training because, for example, I'll do a chest-focused day with a little bit of back, and then oftentimes the next day, it'll be a back-focused day with a little bit of chest. And with that in mind, I don't necessarily need to be crushing my back and making it sore for the next day. It's really more of like a recovery tool. So say I had trained back yesterday, and now I'm training chest. What this is gonna do for me is my muscles, you know, they've been a little bit beat up by that back training. Say I was doing some heavy barbell rows. My back will be a little bit beat up. But what that's gonna do is it's gonna push blood into my muscles. It's gonna push nutrients in there. And I actually find that doing some light exercise actually helps me recover. So same principle applies to, like, you know, say you crushed a leg day, right? Your legs are super sore. Like, what can I do to help these legs recover? A lot of times, you know, going for a walk or doing, you know, cardio or doing some even light, like body weight squats, something that allows you to push some blood in your muscles and get things moving will actually be a really good recovery tool for you. And you don't have to do it right now, especially if you're just new, but one of the things that I've been doing during my competition prep is I have been doing my main training in the morning, and then in the evening time, I'll come in and I'll do a lighter training session, like an arms and shoulders, push-ups, pull-ups, kind of upper body training style thing, almost like a circuit training. And what that's allowed me to do is not only get a lot more training in the muscles that I think are important for physique, which is like all of this kind of up in your body stuff so you can look as wide and good as possible, that V-taper action. I've been getting to train a lot of those muscles, twice a day, but also it helps me recover. So people often ask about, this idea of overtraining, and generally I don't really lend a lot of credence to the idea of overtraining. What I tend to think of is, am I recovering properly enough? So the issue of overtraining for me generally comes down to under recovery. So you can do a lot of exercise. You just need to make sure that you can recover from it. So you can moderate your intensity in your training, but generally I want to train intensely. So what's going to be important is to make sure you're getting enough food and rest. But I do think that a little bit of extra exercise burns more calories for me, so it means less cardio that I have to do, and better recovery.
So we have a question from Twitch involving diet and recovery. What is your current diet, and are you still cutting?
Yeah, so I'm currently, maybe even today, 1 month out from stepping on stage in Vegas for the Musclemania World Championships in physique. So definitely I'm still in a deficit. But what's fun is that since I've already dieted a fair amount, I'm already fairly lean, we got a ways to go still. I don't have to really do a lot of like super hard deficit to cut. But my diet right now, on a normal day, I'll probably be eating around 3,000 calories. 50% of those calories will come from carbohydrates usually, maybe even 55%. About 20 to 25% of my calories come from fat, and about 20 to 25% of my calories come from protein. So that's the calorie and macro breakdown. In terms of food selection, that's something that really comes down to your own personal preference. If you're asking me what I'm eating in particular, because you're curious, I mean, my diet, honestly, is a fair amount of really anything that I want to eat, but I like cereal, so I get some cereal in my diet. That's a fine thing to do, but the reason why I put it in the perspective of calories and macros is because that is much more applicable to you. Once you understand how to track your calories and macros and understand the effect that has on your body, that is going to be what sets you up for success. Once again, this is something we talked about in the podcast yesterday, is how there's not really any particular foods that are like bulking foods or dieting foods. What it comes down to is what kind of energy you're feeding your body. And if your body is being fed fewer calories than it uses, then it will burn stored energy to make up the difference, which is body fat. Now, of course, if you have like athletic or performance goals in mind, you're gonna wanna make sure you get enough protein, you're gonna wanna make sure you get enough fat, and then I generally like to fill in the rest of my calories with carbohydrates. But the particular macro breakdown is less important than getting the certain amount of calories you need and getting the right amount of protein. And science suggests if you hold calories and protein consistent, doesn't really matter what else you do in terms of your fat and your carbohydrate breakdown. So it's up to you. But we talk about that every day on Twitch. And if you guys are watching from Twitch, you can type !fat loss to get a good video on that. And once again, one of the fun things about this kind of workout is you'll notice that we're taking a little more rest than maybe we usually would if I was just in the gym by myself, hammering it out with the headphones on. But chatting up with you guys is fun. But that's one of those things that you guys can do to sort of moderate the intensity of your workout, is to change the weight, change the reps, change the sets. All of that will definitely affect the product of your workout. But one of the fun things that you can do is also modulate your rest time, your recovery time. Because if you're giving yourself less time to rest, you're gonna end up feeling this workout a little bit more. So going back and forth one after the other, it's gonna feel good. And like I said, it's also gonna burn you some more calories.
All right, question from Twitch along that line. How do you know when you are overtraining or if you are actually recovered enough?
If your workouts, I mean, for me, I'm not an expert on the subject, but for me, I would feel like I was overtraining or under recovering, right? That would be my preferred term. I would feel like I was under recovering if my workouts were noticeably suffering from, like I guess I feel like dieting is almost like a bad example because when you're dieting, it's likely that you're gonna lose some strength along the way. You're gonna be losing leverage because your body's literally changing. And you're also gonna have less energy to work with just by design because you're intentionally feeding your body a little bit less than what it uses to achieve that fat loss goal. But if I was like bulking and I had certain weights that I wanted to train with for progressive overload to get bigger and stronger, and I was consistently unable to hit those weights. I mean, sometimes you have a bad workout. You know, you have one bad workout, you just felt like, oh, I'm under recovering. I guess I better completely change everything. So maybe not do that instantly, but if you're consistently unable to progress because you're constantly fatigued and you are training a ton, maybe you'll consider adding more food into your diet, right? There's a lot of, like, I'm not a strength athlete necessarily, but in my experience and in my understanding, there's not a lot of strength issues that eating more food doesn't help with. So a lot of times if you're like, man, I'm having trouble recovering from my training, I feel like I had a really rough week of training, I'm not making the gains on the scale or gains in the weight room that I want, chances are you should probably be eating more. Same thing with rest. If you find that you're having not enough time to get sleep in, you might want to spend more time making sure that you're getting enough rest. Because food and rest are kind of the key to recovery, in my opinion, but that would be one of the things to notice is if your workouts are consistently suffering and you're training a lot and you're not eating enough and you're not resting, you probably want to eat more, rest more. Keep training hard though.
Besides your favorite cereal, what are some of your staple meals?
I mean, when I'm bulking, it comes down to just some sort of lean protein, complex carbohydrate, healthy fat. The good old chicken and rice might not be exciting, but I've eaten a lot of chicken and rice in my day. But, you don't have to eat rice. If you don't like rice, you can get really any sort of complex carbohydrate that's easy for you to eat and digest. Pasta works, potatoes work, all kinds of stuff like that. But when I'm dieting, I've also dieted on chicken and rice as well. So it's not like chicken and rice is a bulking meal or a dieting meal. It's just how you decide to organize your calories and macros in a way that helps you accomplish your goals. Once you have those numbers in place, you can really eat whatever food sort of fits those numbers. Just so that's up to your preference at that point, how food digests to you, how it tastes to you, what's easy for you to cook. Those are all things that actually do matter, maybe not to your body in particular for fat loss or muscle gain, but it might matter to you in terms of how consistently you're able to stick to that. And that does, consistency is a very important ingredient.
Rocket Lawn Chair on Twitch wants to know, how long should I be resting between my sets?
That's gonna be up to you, man. I mean, for me, like I've been saying during this workout, I like to keep my rest times pretty low, but one thing that's gonna happen is it also depends on what's your goal for your workout. For me, this workout and what I'm doing right now, really just to get some exercise, to get a good pump in, to get that stretch and squeeze of my muscles, and just have fun with my training. Now, if my goal, and you'll also notice I'm working with very sub-maximal weights, right? Now, if my goal was to hit my new, biggest, best squat ever, and I was doing heavy sets to work up to that, what I would be doing is more likely giving myself more recovery time in between sets, because that's gonna be a more intense, more physically demanding exercise that actually requires recovery to hit that new number. So if you're working with a little bit lighter weights, your goal is to keep your heart rate up, to keep the pump going, and you don't really require a whole lot of recovery in order to achieve whatever your training goal is, you can probably keep recovery time low, right? But if your goal is to lift the absolute maximum weight you can, and you're hitting sets that require your literal 100% best effort every single set, that would be a situation where you may want to be fully recovered for each set, so you're going to take a longer recovery time in between sets. Does that make sense?
Question from
Put a little more weight
Facebook. What are you currently drinking intra-workout?
Oh man, you guys, among the many, many amazing things about Bodybuilding.com HQ and their lovely cafeteria setup, they actually have BCAAs on tap. So I'm rocking some of the Scivation Extend BCAAs as well. Had to make use of that. And they've got a little ice machine that makes like the perfect kind of like crunchy ice. So you make sure I made myself like a BCAA slushy. It's perfect.
Do you personally take creatine, and how important is it?
Yeah, creatine is one of those supplements that I take and have taken for a long time. Studies suggest it's one of the safest, most effective supplements that you can take. So definitely one of those things that I do enjoy taking. And just to break down my understanding of what it is that creatine does, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain it's related to ATP within your muscles, helping make sure you have plenty of resources to create ATP, which is the unit of energy that actually drives muscular contraction. So taking creatine as a supplement, just make sure that you have enough of something your body usually already has. Just to make sure you have plenty of it, kind of like a protein supplement, right? Making sure your body has plenty of protein. You're gonna get some protein from your food, but supplementing makes sure you have plenty of it to get the job done. So what creatine will do for you is over time, just making sure that you can work as best as you can to be, having a good, powerful contraction, basically makes you a teeny bit stronger over time. And that teeny bit of strength applied to many, many days, weeks, months, years of training can actually help you increase your muscle size. Because if you can train with heavier weight, you're gonna get a little bit bigger and stronger. So that's my understanding of how creatine works, and yes, definitely take it.
What is your favorite flavor of the Bodybuilding.com BCAAs?
Blue. Usually, no matter whether it's Bodybuilding.com or otherwise, I like the blue flavors, but the Bodybuilding.com changed up their formula just a little bit, so now it's like a blueberry lemonade. And I don't know what kind of magical gains witchcraft they use to do this, but it actually tastes like lemonade with like blueberries in it. It's awesome. So if you haven't tried that yet, definitely give it a try. It is awesome.
Somebody on Twitch wants to know, how many days are you currently hitting the gym in a week?
Well, once again, this is what I do. You don't have to do this, but I'm a bit of a nut. So I actually go to the gym usually every day and usually twice a day. But, that is not required by any means. I'm just kind of crazy. And once again, like I mentioned in the intro, I just love training. This is something that I've always enjoyed doing. So, especially now that I have a home gym, it's hard to keep me out of the gym. And, fortunately, due to the fact that we can actually stream my training live on Twitch, I'm technically working while I'm training. So, I can kind of justify being in the gym for, 4 hours a day. Plus, as we mentioned, I'm technically a natural pro bodybuilder now, so it's even more reasonable to be hammering away in the gym for 4 hours a day. But yeah, I really do love the gym. It's kind of part of my daily routine that keeps me feeling grounded, keeps me feeling centered, helps me be effective at the other things that I want to do for my day, and it directly applies to my goals as a content creator and as a bodybuilder. So I'm in the gym quite a bit. Bare minimum, I'd recommend you go to the gym at least every other day. A little bit more weight on here. We probably do want to do a little bit of pull-ups and push-ups at some point, but this sure is a lot of fun, so we'll stick around a little bit.
Tom's OB on Twitch says, what's up, and
Yo.
What, in your opinion, is the best version of the bench press?
Best version of the bench press? There's a couple different ways to answer this question. I feel like any bench press is a great bench press, in my opinion, whether it's on this machine, whether it's got the weights on it, but in terms of like incline, flat, or decline, there's just a different way of training your general pushing and chest muscles. For me, it's hard to get away from the just good old flat bench press. But I think that one of my goals in particular, once again, for the goals of physique, is to improve the whole upper shelf of my body. So upper chest, shoulders, even my rear delts a little bit, my traps, all that kind of stuff. So incline bench press is gonna be one of those things that I'll focus on. And I think that's fine to do, is to train a certain way, just hammer it out, give it your best effort. But then periodically, take a look at your physique, take a look at your strength gains, take a look at your lifts if that's what you're interested in, and say, okay, what needs to improve? And for me right now, I would say, okay, my upper chest is one of those things that I definitely want to work on. So even though I love flat bench, and I do pretty well at it, I'm gonna say, all right, incline is one of those things That's a goal set of mine. I can see room for improvement. So maybe the best bench press for me to be doing right now would be the incline press. And here we are doing some machine incline presses, as a matter of fact. So seems like we're on the right track.
Somebody on Twitch wants to know, how did you get started into gaming as well as training?
Oh, the games and gains have just been part of my life for a long, long time. This is something that we expounded on in the podcast yesterday that's available in the videos and past broadcast tab. But, you know, gaming and fitness has always been a big part of my life. I've always been enthralled by video games, and I remember, you know, spending a lot of time hanging out with my friends and gaming it up. But I've also, you know, always enjoyed being active, and as a young kid that's, you know, running around playing in the woods or riding bikes around the neighborhood or whatever. But what changed for me was when I was 11, I think, is when I decided the exercise could be a tool for self-improvement and not just, you know, playing around. So I told my dad that, you know, I was watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z at the time, and I told my dad that I was, all right, Dad, one of these days, I'm gonna have to save the world. And he's like, okay. I was like, so I need to start training. He's like, okay. So he had been going to the gym a lot as well. So there's like some model of that for me already. And so he said, well, you're 11 years old, can't go to the gym yet. So I started doing push-ups. So I started doing, you know, push-ups, maybe 50 a day at first, in sets of like 5 or 10 or whatever. But then of course, over the course of that summer, I was hitting sets of 20, doing, you know, 200, 300 push-ups a day. And so he's like, okay, you're kind of a nut, but I see the dedication, I see the discipline, I'm taking you to the gym. So I've been in the gym since I was 12. And of course, gaming has all been part of that the whole time too. So my project on YouTube and Twitch as a content creator started with gaming, but it quickly turned into me sharing whatever it is that I was interested in, whether it's vlogs and stuff like that. And fitness is just one of those things that I'm interested in. So it was a natural thing for me to include games and gains in my content creation, because it's just what I like to do, it's just who I am. So I'm grateful to have a platform to do that, right? To share what I'm passionate about with you guys. And it's led us to some pretty cool places like Bodybuilding.com HQ. So we actually having a little bit of a moment yesterday. I was like, wow, doing a photo shoot, I was like, we're really here, aren't we? That's crazy. You know, starting from, like I was telling you guys, as an 11-year-old doing push-ups to now, a couple years down the line, being like, wow, this is pretty awesome. So feels good.
Flexiforce wants to know, can you hit us with the flex for all these new subs?
Did we get a few new subs?
We did.
Happily hit you guys with the flex. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. I appreciate the love, guys. And of course, we've got to get some flexes in the chat as well. Make sure you keep those new subs feeling the love as we're hammering out a few more sets here. Ooh. And you'll notice here, on a machine like this, where you actually have wrist mobility, one of the things that I would encourage you guys to do, especially if you're new, is see the difference between doing an overhand grip where you maybe row a little bit higher up in your back, an overhand grip where you're rowing a little bit lower in your back. Maybe you supinate your wrist, which means you turn your wrists up and you pull as well. There's gonna be a different kind of contraction that occurs in your muscles. And once again, you know, I love me some free weight movements, don't get me wrong, but I think one of the values of machines is helping you learn these kind of little subtleties about training and about exercise in a way that you're very supported in this movement. So you can say, all right, so I don't have to worry about ripping this barbell off the ground, and maybe if I change my form to something I'm not used to, like a supinated wrist, maybe it's gonna change something about my back and hurt myself. With the machine, you're locked in, you're supported, you're safe. So go ahead and get your chest pushed up into there, contract your core, and then have some fun saying, oh, that feels different than this, you know? Because that's what a lot of this is about. And the earlier in your fitness journey, you can learn about this mind-muscle connection and actually not only just taking these handles and pulling them, but actually saying, this is the muscle that's doing this. And learning how to contract your lat muscle against the resistance. The earlier you're able to do that, the better off you're gonna be. And I'd say the more effectively you're gonna be able to actually build muscle. Because there's value in being strong, for sure. There's value in just moving a lot of weight. But if you can move a lot of weight and be mindful of the contraction, that's a really good recipe for success when it comes to building muscle and getting stronger
Derek wants to know why blood elf paladins are better than human warriors.
Oh, you know, we do get some outliers in the chat every once in a while. People get, just a little bit, we talk about the mind-muscle connection. We talk about, volume versus heavy stuff. And they see the gains being made and they just kind of lose their mind. So I feel like Derek, as much as we love him, may just be a teeny bit confused by the majesty of the human warrior he's seeing working out right now. It's, common thing, But yeah, my heart goes out to Derek, the poor guy. And if you guys didn't know, Derek is one of the guys that we've been hanging out and working with at Bodybuilding.com for quite some time, so I get to give him a teeny bit of a hard time on that. And for those of you guys who are watching from Bodybuilding.com and you have no idea what a Blood Elf Paladin is, it's a World of Warcraft character type, and I'm a big, so when I talk about games and gains, World of Warcraft is my #1 favorite game and someone I play the most. So I'm just a big old nerd, likes to lift weights, just like Derek.
If you could create any video game to play on Twitch, what would it be besides Warcraft?
I would create some kind of game where you can set up, like a Apple Watch or something like that that can track the work that you do in real life, and it directly carries over to how powerful your character is in a video game. So it would be like an MMO. But what it would encourage you to do is get in the gym, and if it said, all right, so you did a whole bunch of bench press and a whole bunch of rows today, that'll give you some amount of, vitality or endurance and stamina, and also some amount of strength gains for your character. So something that would hook up to your physical real life body and translate that into character progression within a game, that would be so cool. We're gonna do a few more sets of this, and we're gonna switch up over to that, because as much fun as I'm having, I do wanna do a few more exercises just to finish this thing off.
Juliax55 has a great question on Twitch. How do you stay disciplined between training and gaming?
Well, one of the things I like to say is that discipline is a skill. And like any skill, you get better at discipline by practicing it. So if you want to get better at basketball, you play basketball, you practice basketball. If you want to get better, at math, you practice doing math. So if you want to practice discipline and get better at being disciplined, you need to practice that. So take action, put that action into play and get better at it. But for me, some things beyond the greater picture is if you want to be disciplined with your gaming and fitness, you have to elevate, it is a priority. So you say, I love gaming, but I have fitness goals. So how am I going to go about this? You need to elevate your fitness goals such that, if you only have time for one, you got to make sure you get your gains in, take care of yourself, But usually, what's cool is that if you manage your time well, you should hopefully be able to have time for all the things that you're passionate about. So for me, one of the simplest pieces of advice I can give, aside from the broader picture, is even though we tend to say we're about games and gains, you might want to switch up the order of that and get your gains in before you start playing video games. I would call video games, even if you have goals within them, more of a leisure thing, right? So before you sit down and chill and have fun for the day, make sure you're getting your workout in first. All right, let's move over to the pull-ups and triceps that I want to do, because that's really, really fun, and I could do that. Usually my training sessions are about 2 hours long, so I would not mind hammering that out for a little bit longer, but next thing is to hit up some pull-ups and some tricep extensions and some push-ups for fun, probably. Let's keep hammering it out. Thanks for the questions and stuff, by the way, guys. It feels like home. We're gonna go ahead and set this up. And this is following in that vein that we've been talking about, where I find a combination of things. So this is an example, like, usually I would be doing like a main chest movement. Like in my home gym, I would probably be hammering out some flat bench for about an hour, progressive overload up, some ladder up and some heavier sets. And then I would be doing pull-ups or some kind of rowing in between. But then this is gonna be maybe an example of more of a back-focused workout. Well, let's say pull-ups are our main movement, but we still wanna get some pushing exercise in. So we're gonna do some tricep extensions, and I'll do some push-ups as well. Because once again, push-ups are great, but I feel like you can do a lot of push-ups generally. I know that I can do a few push-ups without it being too strenuous, but the same rule applies, is it's helping my chest get some blood flow in there. It's putting some resistance on the pushing movements while, you know, I still get to do the main movement of the back training. So let's go ahead and do some pull-ups. Get ourselves started. And what's fun is that different grips on the pull-ups, just like I mentioned on the row machine, different ways of gripping the bar, whether it's overhand, underhand, wide grip, or close grip, will change things up. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's cheating, but when I do the neutral grip, like I'm about to do, even though it trains my back, I feel like it's like one of the best things for me in terms of getting my biceps pumped up. So it's doubles as an arm movement. So if you're looking for a way to improve your biceps besides just doing curls, maybe hit up some of these neutral grip pull-ups, close grip pull-ups. Just hammer them out and see how it feels. And in terms of sets and reps, once again, maybe I'm doing 10 of these in the beginning of my workout. As we do, 30 minutes of pull-ups, maybe that goes down to 6. It's all good. And a common question that I get while I'm doing some tricep pushdowns is, but what if I can't do a pull-up? And I'll show you in a second, but basically, if you can do one pull-up, do sets of 1, You can do 2 pull-ups, do sets of 2. When I was finishing up my bulk, I realized, I was like, wow, pull-ups are a lot harder than they used to be, probably because I was a little bit heavier from the, muscle gains and fat gains that you put on during a bulk. But part of it also was that I had not been doing a lot of pull-ups. So I sort of made it a goal of mine over the past couple months to really hammer pull-ups and try to get better at them. And I think that it's helped. But if you're finding yourself in a position where you can't do pull-ups at all, one of the things you can do is either, if you can, jump up and get up there and slowly lower yourself down and do sets like this, just as many as you can. Or ideally, maybe you have like a bench that you can step up on. But what you're doing here is you're doing almost the same idea as a pull-up, but you're just working the negative movement. So that's one of those things that I say a lot when somebody's asking me how to do pull-ups, or how to start doing pull-ups if you can't do any. Go ahead and do that. But you can also do things like a pull down. That's another great option. Basically anything that's gonna build, you take a look at the movement and say, okay, what am I using to get up there? And it's the same kind of thing that you're thinking about on the row. You're saying, well, I'm pulling myself up, so probably a lot of lat, a lot of bicep maybe, a lot of rear delt. So doing exercises that improve your strength on any of those pulling muscles will carry over to your ability to do pull-ups as well. This combo is also nice because you'll notice when I'm doing good form, one of the things that's important on tricep pushdowns is locking in your elbows and your triceps, pushing them into your lats as much as you can. I want to talk about lats, talk about this back muscle. So you can see it sticking out just a little bit. You lock your triceps in to your lats, so you get a nice isolation on the tricep. And if you've got a little bit of blood pumping in those lats from doing a rowing movement like a pull down or a pull up, it makes it a lot easier to connect those muscles, both mind muscle connection wise, but also physically, get those locked in.
Christo US 82 on Twitch
What's up,
says,
Christo?
looking good with these HD cameras, man.
Good. It takes a powerful camera to make me look good, but I'm glad that they're working their magic.
And also wants to know, what is the next piece of equipment you want to add to your home gym now that you've been to BBCom HQ?
Oh man, so I think just off the top of my head, the 2 things that I miss the most in terms of equipment would be some kind of hammer strength pressing machine, like I couldn't help myself but use today, and actually a weighted calf raise. If I feel like, I can do normal calf raises at the home gym and I could get creative, maybe sit on a bench, put a plate underneath my foot, put a plate on top of my knees, and do a calf raise like that, like a seated one. But I miss these plate loaded calf raise machines. My poor calves, they're wasting away on me. We gotta get these bad boys beefed up. So maybe we'll be getting a weighted calf raise machine in the home gym coming soon. We'll see. This would be one of those things that I would do as like a finisher. I think as my workouts progress and we get a little closer to the end of the training, that's when my movements are gonna go from, you know, compound movements that use a lot of different muscle groups, like the press, obviously using chest, shoulder, tricep, and I can get a little more specialized, right? So the tricep is still a movement. The tricep extension is still a movement that is using one of the muscles that I've been using today in terms of a pushing muscle. It's pushing something away from me and it's flexing that tricep. But I wouldn't really want to go do a ton of tricep work right before I go do my chest stuff, unless that was the goal, to pre-fatigue triceps. But at this point, as I'm sort of finishing my workout, we can get a little more focused on isolation rather than doing the compound movement.
Pawnageddon on Twitch wants to know, how do you manage to push yourself into the gym if you just aren't feeling it and aren't motivated?
Got to take action. Motivation, like I said, it's fun because we get a lot of these questions every day on the gym stream, and a lot of these questions also came up on the podcast. So some of you may be hearing these answers, and you probably even know how I'm going to answer, but motivation, I would say, is a luxury. It's nice to feel like it. I really enjoy the gym, you know, very excited to be here most days. But there are those days you wake up, just not feeling it, you know, you're tired, hungry, been a tough week of training, all out of BCAs or something, waiting for your Bodybuilding.com order to come through, then you're just not feeling it. Well, guess what? You still got to get the work done. And that's where I think that motivation is a much secondary concept to things like discipline, to things like dedication. So once you dedicate yourself to a goal, and once you're willing to consistently apply your discipline and rely on discipline over motivation, you're gonna be setting yourself up for success. Now there's another concept that goes right along with that, which I like to call momentum. So saying you're having one of those days where you're just this rock sitting there, can't move, don't wanna go to the gym. In order to get that rock moving, it might take a stronger push than if it was already on the roll. But one of the things that you can do is you can take those moments where you're not feeling it. You know, you're not sick, you're not injured, you're just not feeling great. No reason why you can't go to the gym, besides you just don't feel like it. So what it takes is for you to take action, for you to push yourself to get there. And once you start stringing together, you know, decisions and actions, you'll probably find that you're gonna start having a better day. And if you've been going to the gym consistently and you know how to just activate and get the job done, you're gonna be better at doing that when you're in a day where you don't feel like it. You're not feeling motivated. So once again, circle back around, motivation is a luxury, but it's secondary to discipline, to dedication. And when in doubt, build that momentum by taking action. Don't always have to feel like it, but you gotta get the job done. That helps. But I also didn't mention this yesterday, and I realized this, is that, you know what else also helps when you're not feeling to go in the gym? Some pre-workout. I'm a big fan of that. Get yourself some good pre-workout, get yourself some good music, and find out if that doesn't help you change your attitude a little bit. Staying warm now. Now I could be doing some push-ups, but I'm actually just kind of feeling this back and forth set thing. And before we finish up, I'm probably gonna drop right back over there and do a few more exercises, doing some shoulder stuff, doing some overhead dumbbell presses, and doing some shrugs, just to finish out this same idea. And once again, the reason why I'm gonna finish off with those is because, one, we're just kind of having fun with our training today, so I may as well do things that I wanna do, but also it comes back to that, focusing on my goals, right? For physique, I recognize in my own physique, need to improve my traps and my shoulders. Had a good workout, why not finish off with a little bit of those things, right? We got a few more sets here first.
Beardsley Grills on Twitch wants to know, On the topic of starting my home gym, what is the one piece of equipment you would start with having?
I mean, there's a couple different things. The easy answer is a power rack. I feel like that allows you to do squats, bench, deadlifts, whatever you want. Get yourself a power rack and get yourself a barbell. But here's the other thing, is if you've never ever trained with a barbell before, if you've never trained using a power rack before, maybe that's not your first purchase. Your first purchase should probably be a gym membership. So that you get to the gym, you figure out, what all this equipment does, you learn how to train, you learn what you like to do at the gym, and then you can purchase accordingly, right? But the reason why I was able to pick up the stuff that I picked up from my home gym is because I had been in the gym for about 15 years prior, and I said, what's the kind of equipment that I know that I'm gonna use? What's the kind of equipment that I'm gonna have in order to accomplish my goals? And so that's what we did. But if you're thinking about buying a home gym, first things first, make sure that you spent time in a commercial gym, or not a commercial gym necessarily, just any gym, so you have an idea of how you like to train and what your goal sets require in terms of equipment to use. But short answer, power rack. But another thing to mention is that, today we have a lot of fun stuff that we're doing. We're gonna be doing this workout right now, obviously, but we're also gonna be filming an at-home workout, which may or may not feature any weights at all. So, you still can get a workout in at your house, even if you don't have a full gym setup.
Felina on Twitch agrees that the blueberry lemonade pre is the best tasting thing on the planet.
That's right.
And Ray_man wants to know, what's the benefit of pre-fatiguing?
So one of the things that's nice about those kind of machines as well is a similar idea, right? I wouldn't necessarily want to pre-fatigue if I was going to go do my biggest, gnarliest squats. But one of the things that happens is, for me, there's a muscle building component to it too, where if a muscle is a little bit tired already, if you've already fatigued some muscle fibers within your muscles, then other muscle fibers that may not have otherwise been recruited may have to be used in order to move the weight that you're trying to move, which is gonna help you fatigue different muscle fibers than usual and actually repair stronger and grow muscle. The other thing that's fun is that if you're trying to get in touch with a muscle that you don't already have a good mind-muscle connection with, then pre-fatiguing, say I was gonna be doing, some shrugs with a barbell or do a rack pull, something like a big movement that's really gonna put some serious stress on my traps and my back, but I said, no matter what I do, I can't engage my traps in this movement. Maybe I'll do something like this. I'll hop over here and I'll do some face pulls. Something that's light, but helps me get in touch with my traps a little bit. Or it could even be the other way around. Say I wanted to do some shrugs to fatigue my traps so that when I do face pulls, I can actually engage my traps in this. So two things. There's one, which is the muscle fiber component. You're fatiguing your muscle, forcing it to recruit muscle fibers that wouldn't normally be recruited. Training more muscle fibers equals a bigger, stronger muscle when it recovers. But two, if you already have blood in the muscle and it's already a little bit tired, when you ask it to do something else and it tells you like, hey, I'm tired, you're like, I got you, I found you. And you can hit it harder and help it grow. There's two components to that, right? But that's kind of what pre-fatiguing in my mind does. It allows you to get in touch with muscles that might be resistant to that work. So a similar idea behind me doing some shoulders in the beginning of my workout and the end of it to get them a little bit warmed up, to get them feeling good, but also to help me know, there's my shoulder in this movement. I can work that, because I need to work them shoulders. That's kind of what pre-fatiguing is for me.
Someone on YouTube wants to know, what is your preferred post-workout meal? Is it a shake or real food?
I think that real food is always something that you're gonna wanna get in after your workout. But I also think it's great to have, if your drive home takes a bit, take a couple scoops of whey protein with you, get something in your system as soon as you're done training, just because it feels good, but it also helps start that recovery process. So I would say, ideally both. A real food is probably more necessary, but if you just gotta get something in your system, so you got a busy day ahead of you, make sure that you get at least something like whey protein in your system. All right, this has been fun, but you guys started getting me thinking about traps. So we're gonna grab these 35s, do some shrugs, do some presses, and kind of almost finish our workout the way we started it, by just hitting some volume on the arms and chatting it up with you guys a little bit more to finish it off. All right, back in the dumbbells where we like them. So we'll do some lighter shrugs right now, but a lot of times what I found helps me out most with my traps and the development of my traps is pretty heavy stuff. So like heavy rack pulls, heavy shrugs, heavy deadlifts. Basically, the contraction of my trap is a good feeling, and it's something that I'm definitely working to improve. But I feel like a weighted stretch is one of those things that really helps out traps a lot. So if you're trying to build your traps, I would definitely try a combination of a good squeeze at the top, but don't be afraid to put a little bit of heavy weight on there and get that stretch at the bottom. Ooh. And just like the theme that we've been doing all day long, when I've been doing like a shrug isn't like a huge pull, right? But I'm kind of pulling up with my shoulders and using my trap muscles to pull this weight up a little bit. We're finishing that off, or supersetting that with a movement where I'm pushing up with my pressing muscles here with shoulders. So it's kind of a fun little superset there at the end of the workout. Malvar
Clax, hope I'm pronouncing that right, on Twitch wants to know, why is doing pull-ups neutral grip easier than the overhand way?
For me, I find it's a little bit easier, but what's so neat about different people's bodies is that some people might not find that to be easier, but I think that there's a couple reasons. One, I think it's probably like a more, your movement is more compact. You're not out really wide, so you have to pull like in and down, if that makes sense. I feel like your biceps are pretty good at this kind of thing. I feel like it probably has to do with the fact that you're not really wide out in the movement. Everything is just in a line, but who knows? What's interesting is it also might be different for different people, which is pretty cool. But probably just has to do with the fact that everything is all nicely laid out in a line for you. You don't have to go in a real wide grip or anything, but wide grip pull-ups, that's some bread and butter for building big wide lats. I'll do a ton of those usually. Can't really help but finish off with some bicep curls. Gotta begin the workout with a bicep pump and finish it off with one too.
After your last show or your upcoming show, what are your goals going to be?
So between shows, realistically, I don't feel like I'm gonna be able to build a lot of muscle in a caloric deficit. It's just unlikely to occur. But I still can work on getting a little bit leaner, keeping my diet sharp, making sure I'm training as hard as I can to maintain muscle, and also work on my posing. So to give you an example of this is that the last show I did, Muscle Mania, in between that show and the show that I did prior, which was the Muscle Beach Championships, I realized that my back was an area that I felt like I had worked on a lot, but my upper back in particular, I could pose it better. So what I have done in between those two shows was not only a lot of upper back training to get in touch with those muscles in terms of how it feels to contract them, but also work on posing such that instead of trying to pose in a way that I thought was like the style that a physique person should pose, it was more like I was posing in a way that displayed what I thought was strong about my back in particular. So with the combination of training my back to get in touch with the muscles that I felt like needed to be more prominent and also posing differently, I felt like I was able to make a lot of improvements on my back posing between this show and the Muscle Beach one. And I feel like I took my back from what was potentially a weaker aspect of my physique into something that was a stronger presentation that actually helped me win the show. So that was pretty cool. So, and short answer is, between shows, I'm mostly just trying to get leaner, practice that posing and sharpen up. But what I'm looking forward to after this next competition, my final one of the year, will be actually building some back muscle. So the actual muscle gains usually will take place during the off season, whereas when you're in season, You train as hard as you can to maintain the muscle that you've got, hammer that diet in a way that allows you to lose body fat, and really practice that posing so you can best present your physique.
All right, our last question from Twitch from acooper99.
All right.
What's up, Bajheera?
Yo.
And what, in your opinion, is the best PvP spec for Warrior?
Arms, baby. Now, realistically, you can play Arms or Fury, whichever one you want. I've been having a lot of fun playing Fury, but you know, since we're in the Bodybuilding.com gym getting in some curls, we'll go ahead and throw Arms out there. How about that?
All right, real last question. Where can everybody find you on social, Twitch? Where can they see your stuff?
All right, guys, so as we wrap up the workout, if you guys have enjoyed it, obviously make sure to follow Bodybuilding.com. Check them out. They've got tons of awesome resources, and I'm very glad to be part of the team. But if you want to check me out, we usually do, you know, games streaming on Twitch every day at twitch.tv/Bajheera. If you follow the stream, you'll be notified when I go live. You can also check me out on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at BajheeraWow for, you know, more content about the games, stream times, videos, all that kind of fun stuff. I'd love to have you guys hanging out, and definitely thanks for watching today. It's been a blast.
You have a goal, we have a plan. Bodybuilding.com All Access Premium Fitness Plans to achieve your weight loss goal. Jumpstart your results with Shortcut to Shred or 30 Days Out. Get shredded with Chisel or go hardcore with Chris Gethin. Each plan includes daily workouts, training tips, nutrition and supplement guides, and more. Everything you need all in one place at Bodybuilding.com All Access.